For this assignment, Painting 2 class, I want you to do a simple painted sketch of each of the 7 principles of art. So I'm going to walk you through some ideas for that. Feel free to just copy what I do. Feel free to come up with your own. I'm going to try to fit them all on one page here. If you do it on more than one page, that is okay as well, but it does not have to be very big. Okay, so for pattern, we basically need something that shows repetition. So let's keep it simple. We'll just do some stripes. Okay, there's more than one stripe, so they repeat. That shows pattern. We can add a little bit more detail to it by having some stripes go a different direction and kind of play around with some color combinations. So if it shows repetition, you have pattern. Two different types of pattern though. There's regular and irregular. Take a quick guess which one this is. This is an irregular pattern because the lines or the stripes repeat in an unpredictable way. You can't predict if the next stripe here is going to be far away or close. And we can make it even more irregular if we throw in something that's a different color or different length of the stripes. So this is, again, an irregular pattern if it's a little bit more random and unpredictable. Moving on, pun intended, to movement. In movement, basically what you want is not necessarily something that shows an object in motion, but something that makes your eyes move around the picture. All right, so if I'm looking at this picture, my eyes should go in a certain way based on the movement that you create. So let's try having something maybe here, a certain shape, and then we'll have some stripes that kind of go towards that. So essentially, if I look at this, my eyes might start in this purple circle, and then they would kind of move out on these stripes. So my eyes are moving out, or my eyes might see these stripes and move in towards this area. Either way, your eyes are going to be moving around this picture. If you have curves, if you have things going off the edges, if you have diagonals, that's good. If you have things that kind of swirl around, the more of that you have, the more movement can be created. So now my eyes might move towards the circle on these stripes that I had to begin with, or they might move around on these other swirls, all in different directions. So remember, for movement, you want curves, you want long, curvy lines, you want diagonals, and you want things going off the edges. We'll go to rhythm, which now rhythm is basically a combination of pattern and movement. We'll keep this one real simple, and let's do like a row of trees. So if I have tree trunks here, just straight up and down tree trunks. Again, really simple. Tree tops that are green. They look like broccoli flavored lollipops or something. Okay, so what we have here is repetition, just like pattern, and we have movement. We can create more movement by adding maybe a horizon line, maybe even adding some kind of a little path going from front to back, maybe another one. So if we have repetition and then also movement, for example, my eyes might be kind of going in this direction. My eyes might be going up and down, traveling across these treetops. If we got repetition and some sense of movement, you have rhythm. Next one, emphasis. For emphasis, what I want you to try to think about most of the time is using something called the rule of thirds. I'll write that down. The rule of thirds. So basically what you do for the rule of thirds is you have imaginary lines dividing the picture into thirds in both directions. And at these three spots, here, or four spots, sorry, and here, those are the places I want you to try to put your focal point, also known as your point of emphasis. You want it to stand out too, so try to make it a bright color. Try to make it big. Use the rule of thirds so that your point of emphasis is in a place in your composition that looks more interesting, rather than just right in the center or too far off to the side or corner. These are four good places to put your point of emphasis to make a stronger composition. And then other than that, you just need some other stuff. Okay, just fill some of the other space with whatever makes you happy. Maybe a little bit of orange too. Now there's orange in other places, but there's a lot of orange here and it's a bigger shape that helps it stand out. Moving down to contrast. Contrast is a lot like emphasis in some ways. There's different types of contrast. I want you to think about value contrast, which means really dark and really light values. Size contrast, so something big, something small. Color contrast, where you've got complementary or opposite colors in use. So you can combine lots of different types of contrast. There's even more than that. But let's just stick with color contrast for the most part. So I'm going to use yellow for maybe most of the picture. And then if I have purple or violet, that's the complementary color for yellow. If I put that in here, but if it's not mixing with the yellow, then it will contrast the yellow. Purple and yellow next to each other, like other complementary colors, are very different from each other and they make each other stand out. Plus, this has value contrast because the yellow is very light, the purple is very dark. So we've got two types of contrast here, color contrast and value contrast. Feel free on your own to do something that's big and something that's small. Show that type of contrast, or two different types of textures. Anything that shows differences. Balance. Okay, there's three types of balance. Symmetrical, which is equal on both sides. Radial, which is a central point and things kind of coming out from that or going around that. And asymmetrical, which is unequal from one side to the other. I want you to choose either symmetrical or radial. For this example, I'm going to do radial. All right, now your central point of radial balance does not have to be in the center of the picture. I'm going to put mine here. So this is the center of the design. And then I'm going to add things that are radiating around or out from my central point. Kind of looks like the wheel of a ship that you're steering, like a pirate ship or something. Add whatever little details you want, but as long as you have a central point and things that are going around that, out from that, that's what we call radial balance. And last one, unity. Not much space here, but a couple things I want you to think about for unity. First of all, whatever subject matter you're painting, even if it's simple shapes, try to keep those similar to each other so they're more unified. Try to keep the colors in a color harmony, so the color harmony can unify the picture. Also try to keep the style or techniques that you use the same. So if you use washes everywhere. If you use thick, opaque paint, use that for the whole picture. The more things you do that are similar to each other, the more unity you'll create. So I think what we'll do here is an example that I usually use. Um, if we make a picture that has all warm colors, for example, or it could be all cool colors, and maybe it has a lot of marks that go the same direction. Some can be smaller, some can be bigger, but notice how all these marks are going the same direction. And then again, if I use some other warm colors that are doing the same things, red and yellow that are also going mostly vertical, they're also harmonized because they're unified because they are a color harmony, red, yellow, and orange. Now, if you have variety and you add some cool colors in there or some marks that are going a different direction, that's not a bad thing. That gives it a little bit of variety. Too much variety can be a bad thing. Too much unity can be a bad thing. So for your example of unity, try to keep it mostly unified without too much variety. So try those in your own way or try to copy similar to what I did and get that photographed and turned in for this assignment.